Hello, my name is CHunter and I'm going to be talking to you today about the UBD 1 through 3 overview for my 6601 class, Strategies for Differentiating Education and Learning. I will be defining technology, websites, mobile apps. I'll be talking about digital citizenship, 5 academic articles with APA citations. So to begin, and these standards are VAH SPR CR1, PR1, RE3, CN3 for printmaking 50.05110. So here's just another quick look at some of the prints. You can see there's a really nice bird with multiple colors, some kind of sprouting leaves. In the UBD, it approaches different ways that students can approach this. Art is a very physical subject to teach, and as such this is very much oriented to the visual and spatial learning styles and not so much towards those who learn from memorization, as there's not a whole lot to memorize here as they are creating on the go. They are working to create something unique at this point in time. It is a very fast workshop. It does take one class period. And it is actually a really fun class lesson for those who have taken printmaking, who have done printmaking in the past, and they do usually tend to get some more advanced topics and more advanced tile methods. Sometimes I'll bring in students that I know. I'll bring in a longer piece of paper with a longer clay tile for them to work on, or I'll bring in multiple clay tiles so they make a triptych or a diptych. So there's a lot of variability in this for different levels of students and for different students of different learning styles, different backgrounds. It's a very, very adaptable workshop. And the reason I created it as a UBD is I had a teacher ask for a lesson plan for the workshop, and I decided that this would actually be a really good opportunity to both do the UBD for this and to do the lesson plan for this teacher. So I'm going to define technology, website, and mobile app now. All of my definitions except for the one for mobile app are from Merriam-Webster. Technology, as it says on the screen, is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry, which is really interesting that it doesn't mention education, as there is a large amount of technology in education. In the art world, a lot of people see it as painting and drawing, and maybe making pottery and ceramic, but there really is a whole lot of technology that goes on in the art department. Olden technology would be something like a photo enlarger for a darkroom photograph or a development booth, but in modern days we have digital photography, we have really advanced Mac computers with Photoshop and Adobe suites. We have the ability to look stuff up on our phone at a whim. We have really awesome things like Pinterest, so we can create art boards of all this art that we are inspired by or interested in. The list goes on and on and on. You know, even down to the laptop that I'm working on right now, there's just all these tools that we use in education, and there are a lot of tools in art education that we do that fall under the term of technology. As a person that makes pottery and studied ceramics, I can think of the kilns. 2,000 years ago, kilns were holes in the ground that people dug and somehow managed to find clay that wouldn't melt. And to now where we can actually fire with an electric kiln with a program where you can actually set it to do exactly what you want. You want it to fire for 24 hours, you can fire for 24 hours. It could fire for a month. The technology has gone so far that we aren't relying on holes in the ground for pottery anymore. Technology in the art department is really, really adapting, and though art is still very much a physical, tangible type of art, the growing need for graphic design actually kind of pushes a lot of art departments to be more technology oriented. I know here in the art department at Piedmont College, our #1 art major is actually graphic design, followed very, very closely by our art therapy degree. And that really just kind of defines the day and age that we're in. And one of the things that is so useful for anything art related is actually a website. In the art department, we talk a lot about creating websites for students so that they can show their portfolio. We talk about websites for students that are building a brand, but a website, according to Merriam-Webster, is a location connected to the internet that maintains one or more pages on the World Wide Web. And a long, long time ago, before I was born, really, but as early as I can remember, most web pages were one page that you scrolled almost endlessly through, and they were some very interesting web pages, to say the least. And the final thing are mobile applications. A mobile application, most commonly referred to as an app, is a type of application software designed to run on a mobile device, such as a smartphone or tablet. Currently in the art department, we don't have a lot of stuff that students use tablets or phones for besides looking up artwork. We do have one student who does a lot of digital art and actually transfers his digital paintings over into real life and then actually paints them, and he creates this really interesting hybrid of his work. But for this class, we had to evaluate a number of apps for a large project, and I actually created a lesson plan based around using a tablet or a smartphone, starting off where the student uses a app called Google Arts and Culture, where they actually go out, search for art that they're interested. They also get a art period that they're to research. They then go to another application, and it depends on the school if they want to go for a free app like Adobe Illustrate CC, or if they want to pay for the $9 app that the name is escaping me. They do the same thing pretty much. There's a few minor differences between the two, where in that app they create a piece of art. They then go over to HP Reveal, which I've found to be probably my favorite and most easily accessible Aura or VR app, and then using a tag around the school or in the classroom, tagging their artwork digitally somewhere where it's not physically present, and then actually going around with that to actually critique their artwork, and then kind of as a last hoorah to show the parents and friends that they're actually doing something in art class, they can actually post it to Instagram or Twitter or the school Facebook page to show, this is something cool that we've been doing. And through all of this, digital citizenship is a very, very important thing. I can remember when I was a kid and I first got on the internet, you created a username that was nothing like your name. And I actually remember my first username. It was SirBob701 because I was that teenager. I was that young middle school kid that thought Bob was funny. And you never wanted to have anything to do. You never wanted to show your name. You never wanted people to know your age. All these things that we think about on dating apps and things like that now, those were things in digital citizenship that you didn't share and you didn't talk about. So the day and age has really, really changed now, and it's kind of surprising and interesting to see where digital citizenship started from, where, you try to be as anonymous as possible, to being, hi, I am so-and-so, I am this old, I live here, I am 4 miles away from you. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to see the change of. Finally, the 5 academic articles. I'm going on about 8 minutes here, so I'm going to try and go through these pretty quickly. And I do apologize to these people if I pronounce their name wrong, but Xiangquan Chung talks about digital storytelling, the use of digital media to actually create a body of artwork that actually tells a story, that actually is narrative, which is something that we do work a lot with in the arts, is creating a narrative or a story of our work. Christine Ballinger Morris and Patricia Stewart, Multicultural Art and Visual Cultural Education in a Changing World, talking about the adaptation of multicultural art. They also talk about how you can actually use visual technology to actually create a different sense for cultural education through art, because the world is changing so rapidly and so fast. It's actually a really interesting topic, and I would love to read more about this in the future. And finally, Elizabeth M. Delacruz, Art Education Aims in the Age of New Media, Moving Toward Global Civil Society. That one's kind of a dense read, and I don't fully understand what she's talking about in there. But a lot of what she's talking about is how art education aims to use new media to move towards a more cohesive global society. And I think I'm doing her justice by summarizing it as that. Carrie Friedman, Visual Art / Visual Teaching, Teaching Technology for Meaning. And it's talking about the use of visual art and the use of virtual art and how to kind of interdisperse them to create its own body of artwork. And finally, Paul Duncombe with Visual Culture Developments, Definitions, and Directions for Art Education. It's just a general, well-rounded article written in 2015 on different ways that you can take visual education and visual technology in the art classroom. These are all really, really great articles, and they actually gave me some things to think about when I teach.